Hi, welcome back. Garrick here from the Cordless Vacuum Guide. In this video, we'll be comparing the Dyson V12 Detect and Samsung Jet 75. Two relatively light vacuums sitting at different price brackets. One is a smart laser-lit premium pack. The other is the budget-friendly workhorse that surprised me in a few tests. I ran both through the same tests: airflow, cleaning on hard floors and carpet, hair pickup, deep cleaning, runtime, noise, and filtration. Same tools, same debris, same conditions. No spec sheets, no marketing claims. Just what actually happened. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one fits your home and your budget. Let's get into it. The V12 is one of Dyson's lighter, smarter, mid-range stick vacuums. It's the one with the green laser on the hard floor head. And yeah, that laser actually does something. It lights up dust you'd normally miss in regular lighting. It's got an LCD screen on the back that shows you runtime and dust particle counts, adaptive suction that ramps up automatically when it detects more debris, and a whole set of tools in the box, including the hair screw tool, which honestly is the best attachment I've tested for pulling long hair off upholstery. The whole thing weighs 5.2 pounds with a wand and nozzle attached. Light, easy to maneuver, feels premium. The Jet 75 is Samsung's take on a practical, no-frills cordless. No laser, no LCD screen, no adaptive suction. Just a straightforward vacuum that gets the job done at a lower price. The controls sit above the handle, which is actually a nice touch. You can change power settings without taking your hand off the grip. Bigger dustbin than the Dyson at 0.8 liters. Comes with a 10-year motor warranty, which is pretty generous. It weighs about 6 pounds with everything attached, so a bit heavier than the V12. But Samsung positioned the handle low and behind the motor so it doesn't feel heavy the way the number suggests. Before I get into where they differ, let's talk about what these two share, because it's actually a lot. 1. Versatility. Both convert from a stick to handheld in seconds. Great for stairs, car interiors, couches, that kind of thing. 2. Triggerless design. You don't have to squeeze a trigger the whole time you're vacuuming. Just tap a button and it stays on. If you ever use an old Dyson and your finger went numb after 5 minutes, you'll appreciate this. 3. Detachable batteries. Both have swappable batteries. So in theory, you can buy a spare and double your runtime. I say in theory for Samsung, and I'll get into why in a minute. 4. Separate nozzles for hard floor and carpet. A soft roller for hard floor and a bristled roller brush for carpet. Both include these tools, and that's the right way to do it. Alright, this is where it gets interesting. Let's talk actual test numbers. Cleaning performance, basically at high, until you look closer. On overall cleaning, the Dyson scored 98.31%. Samsung scored 98.26%. That's a 0.5% difference. Statistically, that is at high. On plain hard floor, Samsung actually hit a perfect 100%. Dyson came in at 99.8%. On carpet, same story. Samsung picked up 100%, while Dyson got 99.45%. So if all you care about is picking up cereal, crumbs, and everyday floor mess, the Samsung is genuinely as good as Dyson. That surprised me. Hair pickup is where the gap opens up. Dyson picked up 89.44% of hair overall, and Samsung managed 82.36%. That's a 7-point spread. And if you have a dog, cat, or anyone in the house with long hair, you're going to feel the difference every single week. Dyson also edged out Samsung on deep cleaning embedded dirt on mid-pile carpet. 94.1% versus 93.25%, which was closer than I expected. Next, we'll look at airflow. At the nozzle, Dyson pushes 48.38 CFM. Samsung 40.66. Dyson moves more air, which is why it wins on hair and deep cleaning. Those tests reward airflow, not just brush agitation. Next, we'll look at runtime. This is a big one. Dyson on low power, 63 minutes. Samsung Jet 75 on low, 41 minutes. That's a 22-minute gap. On mid power, Dyson still runs about 14 minutes longer. So for a typical whole home cleaning, the Dyson lets you finish without swapping batteries. One exception: on max power, on carpet, Samsung actually lasts longer. 9 minutes and 22 seconds versus the Dyson 6 minutes and 25 seconds. If you spend a lot of time on Macs, Samsung has a small edge there. Next, we'll look at noise. At mid-power, which is what most people actually use, the Dyson runs at 72.5 decibels. Samsung is at 81.7. That's a 9 decibel difference, which is genuinely noticeable. Next, we'll look at filtration. This one matters if you have allergies. I run a fog test on every vacuum to check whether the filtration is properly sealed. Basically, if fog leaks out anywhere, dust is going to do the same thing when you vacuum. The Dyson V12 passed with 0 visible leaks, while the Samsung Jet 75 had visible leaks. That doesn't mean it's a bad vacuum. Most vacuums leak a little. But if you or someone in your home has asthma or allergies, that's something worth knowing. Next, we'll look at dustbin capacity. Samsung wins here, 0.8 liters versus Dyson 0.35 liters. More than double. If you hate emptying the dustbin mid-clean, the Samsung is going to feel less annoying. Next, we'll look at the batteries. Samsung's biggest annoyance. Both have detachable batteries, but the Samsung's battery can only charge while attached to the docking station. So if you buy a spare battery to extend runtime, which is the whole point of a detachable battery, you cannot just plug the spare into a charger while you keep vacuuming with the other one. You have to swap batteries and redock the whole vacuum. It's a weird design choice, and it kills a lot of the value of having a spare. Dyson doesn't have that problem, since you can charge the battery separately. A quick note on Dyson's laser, I was skeptical of this feature at first, sounded gimmicky, but once you've cleaned with it in a normal lit room and see how much dust you were walking past before, it's hard to go back. It's not just marketing. So to recap, we'll look at the overall pros and cons of the Dyson V12 Detect. And starting with the pros, it's lighter, easier to use in handheld mode, longer runtime, especially on low and mid power. Quieter, especially at mid power. Sealed filtration, since it passed the fog test. The laser actually works. You'll find dust you didn't know was there. Better on hair, especially the hair screw tool for upholstery. And it comes with more tools out of the box. For the cons, it costs more and it has a smaller dustbin. You'll need to empty it more often. Now for the Samsung Jet 75 Pros, cleans just as well as a Dyson on everyday debris. Bigger dustbin, 0.8 liters versus 0.35 liters. Cheaper, comes with a 10-year motor warranty, solid deep cleaning performance, hand-mounted control, feels natural. For the cons, it leaked on the fog test, so filtration isn't fully sealed, struggles with long hair on carpet, louder especially at mid-power, shorter runtime overall, battery can only charge while attached to the vacuum, and it has a bulkier floor nozzle. So which option is better? Get the Samsung Jet 75 if you're on a tighter budget, you mostly clean hard floors and low-pile carpet, you don't have pets or people with long hair, nobody in the house has bad allergies, you want a bigger dustbin so you can empty less often. Get a Dyson V12 if you have pets or long hair in the house, someone in the home has allergies or asthma, you want to clean the whole house on a single charge, you clean at night or in dim rooms and want to actually see the dust. You want a quieter option and you can stretch the budget. Links to both are in the description along with a full written comparison if you want to dig into every test result. If this helped, hit the like button, subscribe for more real-world vacuum tests, and let me know in the comments which one you're leaning toward and why. I read everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.